it's very popular these days. It's really fashionable to suggest that there's really no significant historical evidence that a culture can be transformed. And because of that, my individual choice is not that important, so I'm free to give myself to hedonism. Eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow we die, and that's the best we can hope for. Well, I would strongly disagree, both from a biblical perspective and a historical perspective. It's Memorial Day. We can reflect for a moment. Our own history, our own national history, resonates with the courage of generations of men and women who have made enormous sacrifices so that we might enjoy the freedom and liberty which define us today. We want to pretend that our economic well-being is the obvious choice for first priority. Everybody understands that. Why would you make any other kind of choices? Well, I would just remind you that there have been tens and hundreds of thousands of men and women that have made different choices, that had more courage. Don't get swept away in the self-absorbed tidal wave that's cascading upon us. Decide to be different. I saw a video yesterday. It's an old video of the Higgins boats headed towards the beaches of France. And the faces of those young men that were stuffed into those boats. And those gates would open and they'd jump into the surf. And knowing what was ahead, it was an uncomfortable piece of video. Sometimes we don't reflect enough. We can't afford to forget our history. In World War I, almost 120,000 U.S. casualties. World War II was far more trying, over 400,000 U.S. casualties. The bloodiest of our wars, by far, without question, was the Civil War. They say that we've done nothing to reconcile some of the failures in our history. I could not disagree more strongly, and I'm just observing history. I didn't live it. I understand, history is constantly revised. I earned a degree in history, so I have an opinion at least. Every time there's a new wave of PhD theses, you have to do some original research. You have to come up with a new perspective. You have something new to say. Well, the facts don't change, but we change our opinions so we can get our newly minted degree. And in all the soft sciences, that is the habit and the pattern. I can pick on history for a moment. So we revise our history, and it's been common, fashionable for a great long time now to say that the Civil War really had nothing to do with slavery. It was just economics. And we've peddled that bilge to so many students for so long. It's made its way into the fabric of who we are. I believe it's very disingenuous. Every war has some economic consequences to it. No duh. But if there's nothing else to it, I don't believe you could convince hundreds of thousands of people to die in that cause. It's worth recounting a bit. Gettysburg, have you heard of it? 51,000 casualties. Chickamauga, a bit closer to home, more than 34,000 casualties. Chancellorsville, 24,000 casualties. These are single battles. Shiloh, almost 24,000 casualties. In fact, more Americans were killed in 2 days at the Battle of Shiloh than all of the previous American wars combined. The Battle of Antietam was only 1 day long, but it left more than 12,000 Union soldiers killed, missing, or wounded, which, oh, by the way, is higher than the typical estimates of Allied casualties on D-Day. There were 23,000 casualties overall. It was the bloodiest single day of the Civil War. At Cold Harbor, Virginia, 7,000 men fell in 20 minutes. The Battle of Stones River, right here amongst us, more than 23,000 casualties. The reports said that Stones River was pink with the blood of those who'd fallen. The Second Battle of Manassas, more than 22,000. Vicksburg, 19,000. More than 620,000 casualties in the Civil War. If we include the killed, the wounded, and those captured or missing, more than 1 million. I think it's awkward and incredibly tone deaf to reflect on our history and then try to assert that there's nothing worth giving your life for. It exposes the degree to which selfishness has almost totally captivated our hearts and our lives. We should live with something in mind beyond our own self-satisfaction. I understand we have an assignment for self-preservation. I'm not diminishing that. But I'm telling you, there's other things to be considered. Let's talk for a minute about service. Jesus did. In Matthew chapter 10, two of Jesus' best friends approach. They have a special request. It's a request so special they don't want to make it really for the rest of hearing. And Jesus said, what do you want me to do for you? And they said, well, let one of us sit at your right and the other at your left in your glory. Well, you might as well swing for the fences. We want to be your lieutenants. And Jesus said, you don't know what you're asking. Can you drink the cup I'll be baptized, to the baptism I'll be baptized with? And they said, we can. They had no clue what they were answering. You know, we do that a lot in life. And most of the time, that's really probably better. I've done lots and lots of weddings. Did anybody really understand when they said, I do? No, probably a more honest answer, I got no clue, but yeah, I'm willing. I've been to the hospital for lots of babies to be born, in particular the first ones. They're the most fun. So much excitement and pictures and enthusiasm and grandparents and tears and clueless. I met a young man in the lobby some time back. I'd seen him at the hospital for a new arrival. It was their first, and I saw him in church the next Sunday. And I said, wow. And he said, oh, Pastor, pray. They made us leave, and we weren't ready to go home. We can, they answered, and you'll drink the cup I drink and be baptized with the baptism I baptize with. But to sit at my right hand or left is not for me to grant. These places belong to those for whom they've been prepared. When the rest of the crew heard about it, it says they were indignant with James and John. Jesus called them together, and then he's going to give them a little lesson on influence. He said, you know that those who are regarded as rulers of the Gentiles, and Gentile just means you're not Jewish, lord it over them, and their high officials exercise authority over them. But not so with you. Instead, whoever wants to become great among you, I want to be significant in the kingdom of God, don't you? You know, Christians, we can be really dishonest. Oh, no, Pastor. I'm not interested in being significant. I read the Psalms, and it says, I would rather be a doorkeeper in the house of the Lord. Well, if the option is to dwell in the tents of the wicked or be a doorkeeper in the house of the Lord, yes, vote for doorkeeper. But if you're looking at the menu of options in the kingdom, and your answer is, I vote for total mediocrity. Don't do that. I mean, I mentioned the Titans already. Rookies are reporting. Imagine the new rookies show up, the highest draft picks. And he said, I'm so delighted to have been selected at the top of the draft. I just want everybody on the team to know I don't intend to make the effort to be like the best. I just want to cash my check. Be a little deflating. We think there was a character flaw. Jesus said, I can tell you how to be great in my kingdom. Whoever wants to be great among you must be your servant. The word there is the word that we translate for deacons. So it's somebody that accepts some responsibility, a bit of oversight. Doesn't have to be for huge numbers, but you care enough about people that you say, look, together, let's see if we can get to a better place. It's not about a command and control position. It's influence through a willingness to serve for the betterment of others. What a knowledge. Little platoons of people can change our world. And whoever wants to be first must be the slave of all. For even the Son of Man didn't come to be served, but to serve and to give his life as a ransom for many. I began to think about that. The people I know who have the most influence in our communities, the people who make a difference, they're not the ones that are taking a lot of selfies typically, and I'm not opposed to that. We do some stuff in social media. But I have a friend who's a general surgeon, retired not long ago, served our community for decades. And he certainly earned a living for his family, but he paid a price to do that. More than a decade in school and training, the physical demands of that, the call that you have to take, the middle of the night when you answer the call to come help somebody who's been in an accident. The skeptics will say that our healthcare system's broken and that our doctors make too much money. The skeptics haven't been to the places that have no health care. You invest more than a decade of your life in training. You face the job difficulties and the choices of each day. Good doctors, they give their lives to make their patients' lives better. I'm not telling you everybody that has the title is a good doctor any more than I tell you everybody that stands behind a pulpit is a good pastor. But I'm telling you the good ones make a difference. Doctors with no incentive for excellence would be like too many bureaucrats that we've already seen. Service is an idea that we have almost lost. I had a friend, he's gone to heaven now, but I knew him as he was retiring from years of practicing. He did the same thing over and over again as an orthopedic surgeon. And his hands were arthritic from the physical effort of the job he had held. I have a friend who's an oncologist. Gets up and goes to work every day battling cancer to help sick patients find hope in a future. That's not an easy job every day. Another friend's an electrician. Has a young family, kids depending on him to do his part as father and husband. And he does a job that's very difficult. It's taken a toll on him physically. There's another man in the church I have watched for many years. He's quiet. You could walk past him and you might miss him. He's been a part of this community for a long time. But I could point to you any number of people whose lives have been transformed because of the persistent, gentle service that this man has brought into their lives. He's changed their futures. At the end of the movie, Saving Private Ryan, the message of the movie is earn this. You earn this. Folks, we've been given a great deal. We'll never earn our way into heaven. I'm not suggesting that. But I am suggesting that the great gift we have been given us, the appropriate response is what Paul said to us. We should offer ourselves as a living sacrifice.
Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, subscribe to the channel. You know the drill. Hit the bell for notifications. If you want to, leave a comment.